Hi, readers. I've been teaching sixth grade ELA for a little while now, and every year I see that some kids, when they take tests, will just sort of read through a passage, and then when the questions come, they sit up, they're alert, and they're ready to go. It's almost as if they feel that the questions are more important than the passages, when the reality is that the passages are essential and most important. The way you read a passage and how you read a passage, what you do while you read the passage, determines everything for the questions. If you don't take it seriously and put thought into it and pace yourself, the questions are not going to go your way. It's just the reality of the situation. So I could show you a gazillion ways to read the text. I taught you different ways to code. I walked through entire text with you. But when it comes down to it, what I hope you do are just a few small things. And the first thing is to simply stop. Yeah, that's right. As you read, I want you just to take moments to pause so that you can think. That's the first thing. And the second thing is to ask yourself some questions as you do that. So today, I want to remind you that whenever readers, not just test takers, readers read a passage, they make sure to stop at different points and ask questions, such as who is in this text? What am I learning so far? Why is each part important? And how do these parts fit together? So when you read, my hope is that if anything, you at least find multiple places to stop and ask yourself these same questions. The goal is to ask yourself these questions multiple times because as you go across a text, you know that this stuff changes. So that's why you have to keep asking yourself the same questions to monitor those changes. So let's just put this into practice for a moment with a text that you probably know pretty well by now. That's lightning strikes. So first, let me just make sure that something is super clear. The questions may change depending on the genre. For instance, you probably know at this point that this text here, Lightning Strikes, is a nonfiction text because of the word article. Nonfiction text, though, as we know, can go two ways. It could be a narrative, so it could be a true story, or it could be more of an informational, where it's a teaching text. So it's up to you in the very beginning to make that decision. My favorite way to do that is just to give myself a moment to preview the text as we've learned before, looking at text features that come up, maybe just skimming and scanning some of the words, seeing what are they talking about here. Are there who's, characters, looking across. So it's very clear to me that this is a nonfiction text if I wasn't sure because of the different text features like the headings and the map and the captions. Also, if I look at it a little bit more closely and I think about what the title and the subtitles say, it seems like it's about lightning and it's teaching about lightning as if it's a teaching text. So it feels like more informational to me. I also am looking more closely at the beginning and I don't see any characters, names, or people. Remember, it could be a true story. So that makes me feel like for this text in particular, I can take this one off. But that doesn't mean that this isn't important in true stories and other narrative texts. So just a quick reminder. All right, so now we have our three questions and let's get started. I'm gonna just read a little part here, right? Because remember, this should happen after parts, not the whole thing. And I'm gonna try some of this out. And then I hope that what you see me do feels like something that you can quickly go do on your own in your text that you're reading now, in any text. Lightning strikes. The only difference between a lightning bolt and the small spark that jumps between your hand and a metal doorknob after you scuff across a is scuff across a rug is size. Again, informational text, tricky. That's why it's good to stop and think. So you know what? Because I kept getting tripped up, I kept getting tripped up by those words. I'm just gonna stop right here. What am I learning so far? What am I learning so far? Okay, I'm learning about lightning. And so far, they're saying something about how like lightning bolts and sparks are the same. Wait, so you know what? I'm actually realizing that this is teaching me about probably going to be teaching me how lightning works. Like, how does a strike actually happen? Because of the title here, and because they're making that comparison. Do you see how just by simply making myself ask this question, I got somewhere? I asked this question and it led to another thought. Big deal. Okay, let's keep going. So far it seems to be we're learning so far about how lightning kind of works. Both happen when electrical charge builds up and suddenly discharges. Okay, I don't feel like I can really say why this part's important yet. I know that's the intro, so usually the intros in any nonfiction text will be like where the big ideas are, but I'm not quite sure yet if I can answer anymore, so I'm going to keep reading. What is lightning? Lightning begins inside thunderstorms. Updrafts of air lift raindrops from the bottom of the cloud into freezing air at the top. Downdrafts move ice particles lower into warmer air. Negatively charged electrons. Okay, pause. You know why I'm pausing? Because I'm feeling overwhelmed and confused. So I shouldn't keep reading. No, I'm going to stop and try to answer some questions and see if I can make myself feel a little bit better before I go any further into this thing. This is a big monster of a text. I need to, pause and think. What am I learning so far? Okay, so I'm learning about lightning and how lightning happens, like what it, how it happens. I think I'm actually learning about what it is. See why it's so good to ask these questions? You kind of like forces you to clarify things for yourself. Okay, so I'm learning about what lightning is. And like in this part down here, they're talking about how lightning comes from air moving up and also down. Can't answer anything else so far. Why is each part important? Well, I'm thinking that this part that I'm now in is important because it's teaching me what it is. It's like an actual breakdown. So I'm going to keep looking out for more ways I can answer this question and also this question. I haven't read enough to do this yet, so I'm sticking with these. What am I learning? Why is it important? Downdrafts move ice particles lower into warmer air. Negatively charged electrons build upon a falling ice as it passes the water droplets. In time, the storm cloud becomes negatively charged on the bottom and positively charged on the top. Pause. What am I learning? Okay, so like basically lightning happens when a thunderstorm cloud is really charged up because the air is moving like up and down, up and down, up and down. And also it's warm or hot and cold. Good. Okay. I'm glad I stopped to think and ask myself that question. Let me keep going. When the negative charge builds up enough, a huge number of electrons jump through the air looking for something that conducts electricity. The ground, a tree, a lightning rod. You know what I'm thinking about now? I'm thinking about what the intro was saying, how like the opening kind of was talking about the lightning bolt. Like it's similar to like that feeling where something just like the that spark from your hand when you touch a metal doorknob after you scruff your feet on the rug, like that zap. I'm thinking about that zap here. I feel like this part is actually connecting to the beginning. So now I feel like you can answer more questions like, how are these fitting together? Well, I think that this section here fits with this one because it tells us, like, it actually explains the reason or like the science behind that jolt. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm really taking my time because this text is hard. So I am stopping and I'm asking questions as I go. And Did you notice how I didn't really even write that much down? If you are the kind of person that really likes to write things down, like I usually am, write stuff down, write all over it. If you don't like to write things down, that doesn't mean that you can't stop and think, okay? Because stopping and thinking and asking yourself these essential questions will do you a world of good rather than just reading, 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 and then just trying to answer those questions. Because at least you're giving yourself the chance to think through the stuff that's really tricky. So I hope that today and every day you read, not just for tests, but for anything, that you stop and ask yourself these questions. And if you have characters or real people, that you also include the who in those essential questions. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you immediately go and try this in a text. I can't wait to see what you do and how you make these questions work for you.